I want to talk about Star Trek. And when I say Star Trek, I mean the entire canon of Star Trek, from classic series to modern Discovery and the proposed Picard, all of that. All of it. So, I love Star Trek. Okay. I like science fiction in general, but I particularly have a place for Star Trek. Now, I know a lot of people really like Star Wars, and I mean, I get it. And I don't not like Star Wars. I was never as much into fantasy and the fantasy elements therein that so many other people were really into. I really like the science fiction component. It's like when you look at the classic, the serials, the Flash Gordon and so forth that inform so much of Star Wars. I'm much more of a fan of Forbidden Planet, which obviously is such a heavy influence on Roddenberry's Star Trek, particularly the Cage first pilot. So, yeah, Jeff Hunter kind of is doing his best Leslie Nielsen as Adams in that, but that's a big digression. I like all of the series. I was first introduced, either it was black and white reruns on my little TV that I had in my room as a kid, or color renditions of animated series on my grandmother's cable, probably on Cartoon Express on USA Today, or USA Network. But, so yeah, that was my first exposure, and then of course, the Next Gen hit, and I was hooked. And a big fan, watched the entire series every week. And then, of course, Deep Space Nine came out. I watched it. Voyager came out. And while it never lived up to the promise of any of its premises, I watched it and then Enterprise. To the point that, when I was first living here in Savannah, I didn't have cable, and you can't get TV reception out here hardly at all. So, I kept up with that by going to the library in Evansville and checking out DVDs. And now, of course, we've got the internet, and I watch Discovery on the new CBS platform. And shit, I've also, something I really enjoy, even though it's since come out, that the lead of the series is kind of a creep, is the fan-made Star Trek Continues. It's a really good rendition of the classic series. It's honestly a believable finish out to original series. Rod Roddenberry gave it his thumbs up, and that he thinks his dad would consider it canonical. I don't know. It's always hard to separate the controversy, especially when it comes to the guy who plays Kirk, and he's been in a bunch of stuff now. He's been accused of sexual harassment, and it's plainly, I don't know, I've met some of these people, and so I'm involved and interactive with them on social media, and not to be gossipous, but his SO left him over this. I mean, it lends a certain credibility to me. Even though, the show's great. The show's great. Let's just leave it at that. But, yeah, Star Trek. Weird digression. Sorry. All the classic series movies are decent. 3 is really hard to watch for me. It's so... The search for Spock is super weird. So strange to me. As a kid, I had the hardest time with the change-up in the character Savick actress change. That was troubling to me. I don't know, other people probably don't find that as difficult to deal with, but... And Leonard Nimoy's directorial debut there, wow. not. Tons of respect for Mr. Nimoy. Don't want to speak ill of the dead, but man, it's not a really good movie. He did a lot better on Star Trek 4. But yeah, and even the next gen movies, I can't do Insurrection. That's the one with the Baku. It's so bad. It's like a really long episode of the TV show. It's shot like that, and it's just, wow, this is not good. Not good to me. But, so I'm not like slavishly in love with everything Star Trek, but hey, you know. And the new series are great. I know there are a lot of people on the YouTubes who have a lot of shit takes on the subject, and yeah, I'll direct you to the videos of Steve Shives. They're fantastic, and they really get to the point better than I ever could. I may even put a link in the description. We'll see if I manage to do that. But yeah, so this has been the video about how much I like Star Trek. It's longer than normal, but yeah, Star Trek. One take with Wilke. That was a weird ramble.